My beloved child, listen very carefully because this message was not delivered by accident. What you are hearing right now is sent by God Himself as a warning, and it carries urgency that cannot be delayed. Heaven has been watching you closely, and a veil is being lifted in this very moment. Something hidden is being exposed, and the reason you were guided to open this message is because time has been compressed. There are only 3 days connected to this word, and those days have already begun. Do not let fear enter your heart, but do not treat this lightly either. What God is revealing now is not to scare you, but to save you. There has been a spiritual weight following your life, something that never fully made sense. You tried to move forward, yet the same patterns kept repeating. Delays, sudden emotional heaviness, confusion that appeared without reason. You prayed, you stayed faithful, yet something felt blocked. This is because a spiritual assignment was attached to you, and it did not come from a stranger. Archangel Michael is stepping forward now, sword drawn, standing between you and what was meant to harm you. He is revealing the truth with precision and mercy. The burden you've been carrying was placed through words, intentions, and emotions that came from someone very close to you. A family member you love, someone you trusted, someone who may not have even realized the full spiritual impact of what they released. But make no mistake, words spoken in pain, jealousy, or unresolved bitterness can become spiritual chains if they are not broken. You are not cursed because you are weak. You are targeted because you are chosen. This is why the enemy tried to use familiarity. This is why it came through bloodline, through shared history, through someone whose voice already had access to your heart. God is not accusing. He is revealing. He is saying, "My child, I will not allow you to walk into the next season carrying something that does not belong to you." Archangel Michael is showing that this was not a dramatic attack. It was subtle, quiet, repeated thoughts spoken over you like, "You will always struggle," or "Nothing ever works out for you," or "You will never be happy." These words were released during moments of conflict, disappointment, or comparison. They settled into the spiritual atmosphere, and over time, they tried to define your path. But hear this clearly, they do not have the final word. God allowed this warning to reach you now because the assignment attached to those words has an expiration window. 3 days. Not because God is limited, but because heaven is giving you a divine opportunity to break what was meant to linger for years. If this moment is ignored, the cycle attempts to continue. If this moment is received, everything shifts. You may be feeling a sudden heaviness as you listen, or a strange clarity, or even resistance. That is confirmation. When truth confronts what was hidden, the spirit reacts before the mind understands. Do not close this message. You are being protected right now. Archangel Michael is not here to create division in your family. He is here to cut spiritual cords that were never meant to bind you. Forgiveness will be part of this process, but forgiveness does not mean agreement. Forgiveness is a weapon, and you are about to learn how to use it with authority. God says you are not late. You are right on time. There is a reason this warning came before things escalated further. There is a reason you were not allowed to scroll past this. The enemy wanted you distracted. Heaven wanted you aware. Awareness breaks power. Light dissolves darkness. In the next moments, you will begin to recognize events from your past differently. Conversations will replay in your mind, not to hurt you, but to reveal what needs to be released. This is not about blame. This is about freedom. The blessing waiting for you on the other side of this breaking is bigger than what tried to stop you. Archangel Michael is saying, stand still. Do not confront in the flesh. Do not react emotionally. Let heaven handle what the sword was assigned to cut. This is only the beginning of the unraveling. The reason this message feels intense is because the breakthrough is equally intense. What was meant to hold you for years is being challenged in days. Take a breath. You are safe. You are seen. And you are not alone in this moment. If you feel this message stirring something deep inside you, then stay with me. What is about to be revealed next will change how you see your past and how you step into what God has prepared for you. Beloved one, now that your spirit has been alerted, heaven is asking you to lean in with discernment. What God is revealing next is not surface-level truth. It is a deeper unveiling of how this spiritual weight was allowed to linger and why it felt so difficult to identify. Many people assume that spiritual opposition always arrives loudly, but most of the time it whispers through familiarity. That is why this situation went unnoticed for so long. It did not arrive as hatred. It arrived disguised as concern, disappointment, comparison, or emotional control. Archangel Michael is revealing that this family member did not wake up one day planning harm. The source was unresolved pain, envy, or fear that was never healed. When a heart speaks from a wounded place, words carry spiritual residue. Those words were repeated, meditated on, and emotionally charged. Over time, they began to shape an atmosphere around you, not because they were stronger than God, but because they were never challenged with authority. You may remember moments when you felt small after certain conversations, moments when your confidence drained without explanation, times when you questioned your worth, even though nothing had objectively gone wrong. Those were not random emotions. Those were echoes, spiritual echoes that tried to rewrite your identity quietly, patiently, hoping you would accept them as your own thoughts. But today, God interrupts the echo. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian of truth, and he is reminding you that words spoken over you do not outrank words spoken by God about you. Heaven has kept record, and now heaven has responded. The reason the warning includes a timeline is because something is about to shift rapidly. When truth enters awareness, the enemy loses leverage. That is why this moment feels intense. Assistance always surfaces before release. You might be tempted to confront this family member immediately, to demand explanations or apologies. Do not rush. Archangel Michael cautions against acting from emotion. Spiritual matters require spiritual response. What was released through the mouth must be broken through authority, not argument. Silence, prayer, and alignment will do more than confrontation ever could. God says, I am teaching you discernment, not suspicion. This revelation is not meant to isolate you or fill you with doubt toward your loved ones. It is meant to mature you. You are learning how to recognize when love becomes mixed with control, when concern becomes limitation, and when familiarity becomes access. This wisdom will protect you far beyond this moment. As this message settles, you may notice your spirit becoming alert. Pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to sudden memories resurfacing. Pay attention to emotional reactions that feel out of proportion. These are not setbacks. They are signs that hidden roots are being exposed so they can be removed. This is also why God is drawing you into this community right now. You are not meant to walk through this awakening alone. If this message resonates with you, make sure you let your presence be known. Like this video, share it with someone who needs clarity, and leave a comment declaring that you are choosing awareness over confusion. When you interact, you are not just supporting a channel. You are aligning yourself with a stream of truth that reaches people across the world. Subscribe so you remain connected to these timely messages, and if membership is available, step into it as a covering. These teachings are not random uploads, they are assignments. Every interaction helps spread light into places where people have silently suffered for years, not knowing why. Archangel Michael is also reminding you that obedience activates protection. When you respond instead of ignore, heaven responds faster. That is why engagement matters. It is a spiritual signal that says, I receive what God is saying, and I am ready to move. Right now, a line is being drawn. On one side is the cycle you survive, and the other side is the life you were meant to live. The only thing standing between the two is awareness followed by action. And you are already taking the first step by listening. You may feel an urge to walk away from this message because it feels confronting. Today, this is not condemnation. It is correction wrapped in love. What comes next will help you understand exactly how to respond within these 3 days, not with fear, but with authority. Archangel Michael is not just exposing what was done. He is preparing you for what is about to be undone. The same way words were released over time, restoration will now accelerate. What once felt heavy will soon feel irrelevant. What once confused you will soon make sense. Hold on, because what is about to be revealed next will show you how heaven dismantles what the enemy thought was permanent. Chosen one, now the focus shifts from revelation to response. This is where many people miss their moment, not because they lack faith, but because they hesitate when heaven invites them to move. What God is revealing now is the spiritual law behind why this warning came with a clear window of 3 days. This is not a countdown of fear, it is a window of authority. Within this time, heaven has authorized you to speak, release, and realign in a way that permanently changes the spiritual atmosphere around your life. Archangel Michael is standing close, not as a distant observer, but as an active defender. He is showing that the words spoken over you gain strength only because they went unanswered. Silence is not always humility. Sometimes silence is permission. And God, in His mercy, waited until you were strong enough to respond without anger, without revenge, and without breaking relationship in the flesh. This is why timing matters. Within these 3 days, your spirit is more receptive, your authority is sharper, and heaven is leaning in. You may notice that your prayers feel different now. More focused, more intentional, less emotional and more grounded. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. You are not begging God to fix something. You are partnering with God to close a door that should never have remained open. Archangel Michael reveals that the breaking does not come through long, complicated rituals. It comes through truth spoken with conviction. When you verbally reject what was spoken over you and replace it with what God has declared, the assignment loses its legal right. This is why forgiveness is essential. Forgiveness is not for their freedom, it is for your authority. Unforgiveness keeps cords intact. Forgiveness dissolves them. You are not required to explain this process to anyone. This is between you and God. The enemy often tries to push people into confrontation so the focus shifts from spiritual authority to emotional chaos. Do not fall for that trap. Heaven works quietly, efficiently, and permanently. As this breaking begins, expect emotional fluctuations. You may feel relief one moment and heaviness the next. That does not mean it isn't working. It means layers are coming off. Long-standing spiritual residue does not dissolve without reaction. But each reaction is proof that something is leaving. God is also revealing that what tried to limit you spiritually also affected your confidence, your decision-making, and your expectations. You may have unknowingly lowered your standards, settled for less, or delayed bold steps because something inside you whispered, "It's safer not to try." That whisper did not originate from God, and it is being silenced now. Archangel Michael declares that after this breaking, clarity will return. Your voice will feel stronger. Your prayers will feel lighter. Your decisions will feel cleaner. This is not just about removing a curse. It is about restoring alignment. You are stepping back into agreement with who God said you are before anyone else spoke. Do not measure the effectiveness of this moment by immediate external change. Spiritual shifts always happen before physical ones. What is being adjusted now will soon reflect in your relationships, your peace, and your progress. What felt stagnant will begin to move. What felt delayed will accelerate. And hear this clearly. This is not a one-time rescue. This is a turning point. You are learning how to guard your spirit moving forward. Discernment is increasing. Awareness is sharpening. You will not be easily accessed again. Archangel Michael is sealing this phase with protection. He is standing at the threshold of your next season, sword lowered, because the battle is no longer active. What remains is obedience and trust. You are not walking blindly. You are walking informed. If your spirit feels stirred, then respond. Not later. Not someday. Respond now. Alignment happens in real time. Type "I claim my freedom" in the comments if this message is confirming what your spirit already knew. Blessing code 314 has just been released. Now hear this carefully, because this moment also carries an invitation. As this word goes out, it does not stop with you. There are countless souls trapped under confusion, delays, and invisible weights, praying for clarity but not knowing where it will come from. When you support this mission, you are not funding a channel. You are sowing light into lives that are desperate for truth. I hear the Lord say, as you release seed, I release clarity over households you will never meet. Your support becomes oil that keeps this fire burning, reaching those standing at the edge of breakthrough. This message exists because someone chose obedience over hesitation. Now it is your turn. Act now through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal. The link is waiting in the description. I bless every seed you release to return multiplied in peace, protection, and divine alignment. Do not delay what heaven is asking you to do. Step forward now and let God use your obedience to free others. Beloved soul, now that the cord has been confronted and authority has been exercised, God wants you to understand what happens immediately after a spiritual release. Many people expect fireworks or instant visible change, but heaven often works in quieter, deeper ways first. What shifts now is not just your circumstances, but your inner posture. The atmosphere around you begins to recalibrate, and this recalibration can feel unfamiliar at first. Peace may arrive suddenly, or restlessness may surface briefly as your spirit adjusts to freedom it has not felt in a long time. Archangel Michael is revealing that after any breaking, there is a period of spiritual realignment. Think of it as your soul relearning how to stand without pressure. You carried a weight that subtly shaped your reactions, your expectations, and even your prayers. Now that weight has been lifted, your spirit is learning a new rhythm. This is why God asks you not to rush decisions during this phase. Stillness is not delay, it is integration. You may notice that certain thoughts no longer hold power. Old worries that once felt convincing may suddenly feel distant or irrelevant. This is a sign that your mind is coming back into agreement with truth. However, the enemy often attempts one last echo, not because he has authority, but because he hopes you will doubt what has already been done. Do not analyze these moments too deeply. Recognition without reaction is victory. God is also teaching you how to maintain what has been restored. Freedom is not fragile, but it must be guarded. Awareness is now part of your responsibility. You are becoming more discerning about conversations, environments, and emotional exchanges. This is not isolation. This is stewardship. You are learning where your spirit feels nourished and where it feels drained, and heaven encourages you to honor that awareness. Archangel Michael stands as a reminder that protection is active, not passive. You are not hoping things go well. You are positioned so they do. The sword that cut the cord now remains as a boundary. Nothing removed is allowed to return. This is why confidence will begin to rise naturally, without effort. Confidence rooted in alignment does not need to announce itself. God is also preparing you for restoration in unexpected areas. When a spiritual weight lifts, it often reveals opportunities that were previously hidden by distraction or self-doubt. You may find clarity about decisions you have postponed. Direction may come suddenly, without struggle. Pay attention to these nudges. They are not pressure. They are invitation. Do not be surprised if certain relationships shift subtly. Not everyone is meant to have the same level of access to you moving forward. This does not mean cutting people off harshly. It means redefining boundaries with wisdom. Healthy distance can be an act of love when it protects peace. God is not removing people to punish them. He is repositioning you to thrive. Archangel Michael also cautions against revisiting old narratives. The past may try to reintroduce itself through memory or emotion, but it no longer has authority to define you. You are not required to relive what God has already resolved. Gratitude is your anchor now. Gratitude keeps your focus on what has been done rather than what was endured. As you move through the next days, choose rest intentionally. Rest is not avoidance. It is trust. When you rest, you declare that you believe heaven has handled what you could not. This posture accelerates healing. Your body, mind, and spirit are interconnected. What shifts spiritually will soon reflect physically and emotionally. God is also restoring your voice. Where you once second-guessed yourself, you will now speak with clarity. Where you once hesitated, you will now decide with peace. This does not make you rigid. It makes you grounded. Others will notice the difference, even if they cannot explain it. Light does not argue. It simply reveals. Archangel Michael affirms that this season marks the end of survival mode. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding with intention. The days ahead are not about proving anything to anyone. They are about alignment, growth, and quiet confidence. Hold this truth close. What was broken cannot be reattached unless you agree with it again. Agreement is the only door left. And now, you know how to keep that door closed. Remain present. Remain aware. Remain thankful. The path ahead is clearer than you realize, and heaven is walking it with you, step by step. My dear one, as the days unfold after this spiritual release, God wants you to recognize the subtle but powerful confirmations that will begin to appear. These confirmations are not meant to oppress you. They are meant to anchor you. Heaven knows the human heart needs reassurance, especially after a long season of confusion. That is why God allows small, undeniable shifts to occur, not all at once, but intentionally, so your faith becomes rooted in experience, not just belief. Archangel Michael is showing that one of the first confirmations will come through emotional clarity. Situations that once overwhelmed you emotionally will no longer have the same grip. You may still care, but you will not feel consumed. This is an important distinction. Emotional detachment from heaviness does not mean loss of compassion. It means restoration of balance. Your emotions are returning to their proper place, no longer carrying spiritual burdens they were never meant to hold. You may also notice changes in how you perceive yourself. Where self-doubt once lingered quietly, there will now be an inner steadiness. Not arrogance, not pride, but a calm knowing. This knowing is alignment. It is your spirit agreeing with heaven again. Decisions will begin to feel simpler, not because life is suddenly easy, but because clarity removes unnecessary internal conflict. God is also addressing your memory. Certain moments from your past may resurface, but this time without pain attached. This is not regression. It is healing. When a memory can be recalled without emotional charge, it means its hold has been broken. Archangel Michael is gently removing the residue left behind by words that once tried to define you. Those words may still be remembered, but they no longer carry authority. During this phase, be mindful of your inner dialogue. Freedom invites responsibility. What you say to yourself now matters deeply. Replace old internal patterns with truth, not forcefully, but consistently. You do not need to overcorrect. Truth does not shout. It settles. Let your thoughts align naturally with peace, and when old narratives attempt to return, acknowledge them without agreement. Awareness without agreement is power. God is also repositioning your expectations. For a long time, you may have expected disappointment as a form of self-protection. That expectation with a shield built during survival mode. Now that survival mode is ending, the shield is no longer necessary. You are allowed to expect good again. Not recklessly but faithfully. Expectation rooted in trust honors God. Archangel Michael reveals that opportunities may begin to appear that feel almost too aligned to be coincidence. Conversations may open doors. Ideas may flow with ease. These are not random blessings. They are the result of alignment. When resistance leaves, flow returns. Do not question these moments excessively. Gratitude keeps doors open. Overanalysis closes them. It is also important to understand that not everyone will understand the change in you. Some may feel uncomfortable because they were accustomed to the version of you that carried weight quietly. Your peace may challenge their expectations. This is not your burden to manage. Growth often requires others to adjust, and that adjustment is their responsibility, not yours. God encourages you to remain grounded during this season. Spiritual freedom does not mean spiritual distraction. Stay anchored in prayer, not out of fear, but out of relationship. Prayer is no longer a plea, it is a conversation. You are not asking God to fix something broken. You are walking with Him as He builds something new. Archangel Michael also emphasizes the importance of rest. Rest is not inactivity, it is trust expressed through stillness. Your nervous system is adjusting after carrying prolonged stress. Allow yourself moments of quiet without guilt. Restoration accelerates when rest is honored. As you move forward, remember that protection does not mean absence of challenges. It means clarity within them. You will still face decisions, but confusion will no longer dominate them. You will still experience emotions, but they will no longer control you. This is maturity. This is strength refined through awareness. God is pleased with your obedience. Many people sense truth but turn away because it requires change. You leaned in. That choice has consequences, good ones. Heaven responds to courage with covering. Let this truth settle deeply. You are no longer defined by what was spoken over you, what was expected of you, or what tried to limit you. You are defined by alignment. And alignment is producing fruit already, even if you cannot see it fully yet. Continue walking forward with calm confidence. What lies ahead is not rushed, not forced, and not fragile. It is established, and heaven is committed to completing what it has begun in you. Beloved child, as you step further into this restored alignment, God wants to prepare you for a crucial truth that many overlook. Freedom does not only remove what was harmful, it also reveals what must now be strengthened. When the weight lifts, responsibility increases, not as pressure, but as stewardship. You are entering a phase where discernment becomes daily practice, not because danger surrounds you, but because growth requires awareness. Archangel Michael is present again, not with his sword raised, but with his shield position. This is the posture of protection after victory. He is showing that now your focus must shift from what was broken to what is being built. The enemy no longer needs to attack directly. Distraction is often his last strategy. When people are no longer bound, they are often tempted to become careless. Heaven is calling you to remain attentive, not anxious. You may notice that your tolerance for certain environments has changed. Noise may feel louder. Negativity may feel heavier. Conversations that once felt normal may now feel draining. This is not hypersensitivity. It is refinement. Your spirit has recalibrated, and what no longer aligns will naturally feel uncomfortable. Honor that signal. You are not obligated to stay where your peace is compromised. God is also sharpening your intuition. You will begin to sense when something requires your energy and when it does not. This discernment will save you time, emotional labor, and unnecessary conflict. Do not explain this to everyone. Clarity does not require permission. Trust what your spirit recognizes. Archangel Michael pushes against revisiting old cycles out of familiarity. Familiarity is comfortable, but it is not always safe. You are not being asked to reject your past, but you are being asked not to live there. The lessons have been learned. The door has closed. Looking back repeatedly can reopen what no longer has authority. Forward motion protects progress. This is also a season of vocal alignment. What you speak now carries increased weight. Words that come from a healed place create momentum. Be mindful of casual negativity, even in humor. Your words are now builders. Speak life where you once spoke survival. This shift will feel natural as your identity settles. God is reminding you that growth does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels quiet, steady, and almost ordinary. Do not mistake calm for stagnation. Calm is evidence that chaos no longer governs you. Peace is not boring, it is powerful. As this message reaches you, remember that you are not the only one walking through this awakening. There are others searching for clarity, feeling the same confusion you once felt, praying for answers they cannot articulate. This is why it matters that this message continues to reach beyond you. Take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who may need this confirmation, and leave a comment declaring that you are choosing discernment and peace. When you do, you help create a pathway for truth to reach another soul at the exact moment they need it. Make sure you are subscribed so you stay connected to these timely revelations. This is not content meant to be consumed casually. It is guidance meant to be walked out. If membership is available, step into it as a layer of covering and consistency. Alignment grows stronger when truth is revisited and reinforced. Archangel Michael also speaks of patience. Some manifestations will unfold quickly, others will take time. Do not compare timelines. Comparison invites doubt. Trust invites completion. What God is doing in you is precise, personal, and intentional. Hold on, because what is coming next will help you recognize the signs that confirm you are fully free, and how to protect that freedom without fear or rigidity. This next revelation will bring everything together in a way that feels both grounding and empowering. Beloved one, now God invites you into a deeper layer of understanding, because freedom is not only something you experience, it is something you learn to recognize. Many people are delivered from what bound them, yet they continue to live as if the weight is still present. Heaven does not want you to merely feel free for a moment. God wants you to live free with confidence. This is why discernment now shifts from reaction to recognition. Archangel Michael is revealing that one of the clearest signs of lasting freedom is internal stability. Not constant happiness, not emotional excitement, but steadiness. You will notice that situations which once triggered anxiety no longer pull you off balance. Your response time changes. You pause instead of panic. You observe instead of assume. This calm is not passivity. It is authority that no longer needs to prove itself. God is also teaching you how to recognize false urgency. In the past, pressure often felt spiritual because fear was attached to it. Now, urgency that does not come from God will feel abrasive, rushed, and unsettled. Divine direction carries peace, even when it requires courage. Learn to trust that distinction. You are no longer required to move just because something feels intense. Archangel Michael emphasizes that the enemy often attempts to imitate freedom with distraction. Distraction keeps people busy but unfulfilled. Freedom brings focus and clarity. Pay attention to where your energy flows now. Are you investing in what nourishes you, or are you scattering yourself to avoid stillness? Stillness is no longer dangerous for you. Stillness is safe now because the internal noise has been quieted. God is also restoring your sense of timing. You may notice that impatience has less control over your decisions. You are willing to wait when waiting is wise and move when movement is aligned. This balance is a sign of maturity. You are no longer driven by fear of missing out, but guided by peace of being led. There may still be moments when old thoughts try to resurface, especially during quiet times or moments of vulnerability. Do not be alarmed. Healing does not erase memory. It removes authority. When a thought appears, ask yourself whether it carries peace or pressure. If it carries pressure, it is not yours to carry. Let it pass without engagement. Freedom grows stronger when you stop wrestling with what has already been defeated. God also speaks about your identity during this season. You are no longer defined by what you overcame, but by who you are becoming. Testimonies are powerful, but they are not meant to become permanent labels. You are not the one who struggled. You are the one who aligned. You are the one who learned discernment. You are the one who chose awareness over denial. Archangel Michael is guiding you to refine your boundaries gently. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with discernment. You decide who has access and how much. This does not require explanation or justification. Peace does not argue. It simply remains consistent. God is also reminding you that growth can feel lonely at times, not because you are isolated, but because you are no longer moving in crowds driven by the same motivations. This loneliness is temporary. It creates space for aligned connections to form. Do not rush to fill the space. Let God introduce relationships that meet you where you are now, not where you used to be. You may begin to feel a stronger pull toward purpose, creativity, or service. This is not pressure, it is activation. When spiritual clutter is cleared, calling becomes clearer. Do not minimize these nudges. Small steps taken consistently will reveal larger direction over time. Archangel Michael affirms that protection remains active around you. You are not walking uncovered. What you are learning now is how to walk confidently without constantly checking behind you. Forward vision is a sign of trust. God is not asking you to monitor danger. He is asking you to walk in alignment. As this phase settles, gratitude will become your natural posture. Not forced gratitude, but quiet appreciation for clarity, peace, and stability. Gratitude keeps your heart open and your spirit grounded. It reminds you how far you have come without pulling you back into the past. Let this truth anchor you. Freedom is not fragile. It is established and does not disappear because of a bad day or a difficult emotion. You are allowed to feel without fearing relapse. You are allowed to rest without fearing stagnation. What lies ahead is not a test of your strength, but an invitation to trust what God has already completed. Walk forward with awareness, not caution. Confidence, not defensiveness. Heaven is not watching to see if you fail. Heaven is walking with you as you grow. Remain present. Remain grounded. The foundation beneath you is secure, and the path ahead is unfolding with intention. My precious one, now God brings you to a moment of sealing. This is not a return to battle, and it is not a reminder of what once tried to harm you. This is a confirmation phase where heaven marks what has been restored so it cannot be casually accessed again. Many people are freed, but not everyone allows God to seal the freedom. Today, that sealing begins for you. Archangel Michael is standing again, not in confrontation, but in declaration. He is showing that what was broken has now been replaced with structure. Freedom without structure can drift, but freedom with alignment becomes legacy. God is not only protecting you for today, He is securing you for the years ahead. This is why your discernment feels sharper and your tolerance for disorder feels lower. You are being trained to recognize peace as your standard. You may notice that you no longer feel the need to explain yourself the way you once did. Where you used to over-justify your choices, you now feel comfortable with silence. This is a powerful sign of healing. When identity is secure, approval is no longer required. Archangel Michael confirms that silence, when guided by peace, is not weakness. It is confidence anchored in truth. God is also restoring your spiritual authority in subtle ways. Prayer now feels less emotional and more assured. You are not striving to be heard. You know you are heard. This shift changes everything. Authority does not shout. It speaks once and stands firm. The atmosphere responds because alignment is present. Be aware that sealing does not mean you will never face challenge again. It means challenges will no longer have the same access to you. They may knock, but they will not enter. Discernment is now your gatekeeper. What once slipped in unnoticed will now be recognized immediately. This is not hypervigilance. It is wisdom matured through experience. Archangel Michael is also revealing that your compassion is being purified. You can love deeply without absorbing emotional weight that is not yours. This is important because God is positioning you to be a source of stability for others. Not a rescuer, not a fixer, but a steady presence. Your peace will minister louder than your words. You may sense a desire to simplify your life. Fewer explanations, fewer obligations, fewer emotional entanglements. This is not withdrawal, it is refinement. God often simplifies before He expands. What remains after simplification is what is sustainable. As this sealing takes place, do not rush to define your next chapter. Let it unfold. Alignment attracts clarity naturally. You are not behind. You are not late. You are precisely where heaven intended you to be when this revelation arrived. Archangel Michael affirms that protection is now generational. What was broken in you will not pass forward. Awareness changes bloodlines. Obedience alters patterns. You are not just free for yourself, You are free on behalf of what comes after you. Let gratitude settle deeply. Gratitude anchors ceiling. When you acknowledge what God has done, you affirm agreement with it. Agreement keeps doors closed that should remain closed. Type "I am sealed in peace" in the comments if your spirit receives this confirmation. Blessing code 842 is now activated over your life. Now hear this with clarity and purpose. As this message seals freedom in you, it is also traveling to others who are still confused, still carrying weights they cannot name. I hear the Lord saying, "What I have given you freely, now help me release to them." When you support this work, you are not giving to a platform. You are sowing into deliverance, clarity, and awakening across homes and hearts. Your seed becomes light in dark places, oil in dry seasons, and fire that continues to burn long after this moment. I declare that every act of support through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, found in the description, opens doors of provision and protection in your own life. This is not a suggestion. It is an invitation from heaven to partner in impact. Move now, obey the stirring in your spirit, and let God multiply what you place in His hands for the freedom of many. Beloved child, as the ceiling settles, God now turns your attention toward vision. Freedom clears space, but vision fills it. Without vision, people often drift back toward familiar patterns simply because they do not know where to direct their restored energy. Heaven does not want that for you. This next phase is about learning how to look forward without fear, without suspicion, and without the need to constantly guard yourself. You are not walking into uncertainty. You are walking into alignment. Archangel Michael is revealing that your spiritual eyesight is being recalibrated. Where you once scanned your surroundings for potential threat, you will now begin to notice opportunity. The shift may feel subtle at first, but it is profound. When survival mode ends, creativity awakens. Ideas that once felt risky will now feel possible. Paths that once seemed blocked will begin to reveal openings. This is not because circumstances suddenly change overnight, but because perception has changed. God is also teaching you the difference between caution and wisdom. Caution is rooted in fear of loss. Wisdom is rooted in trust of guidance. You are moving out of caution and into wisdom. This means you will still be thoughtful but not hesitant. You will still be discerning but not guarded. Your heart is reopening, not to everything but to what is aligned. Archangel Michael emphasizes that you no longer need to rehearse what went wrong. Reflection has done its work. Repetition will only drain you. The mind often revisits the past to feel in control, but control is no longer your assignment. Trust does not require constant review. It requires presence. You may notice that your prayers are changing again. They may become quieter, simpler, more conversational. This is a sign of intimacy. When fear leaves, performance leaves with it. You are no longer trying to say the right words. You are simply being heard. God delights in this shift. Relationship has replaced urgency. As vision sharpens, you may feel a gentle pull toward things you once postponed. Creative pursuits, learning, new environments, where even leadership may resurface in your heart. Do not dismiss these nudges as imagination. When alignment is restored, calling begins to whisper again. God often speaks softly at this stage, not because the message is small, but because your spirit is finally quiet enough to hear it. Archangel Michael also brings clarity about pacing. You do not need to do everything at once. Freedom does not demand speed. It invites intention. Take steps that feel grounded, not rushed. Momentum built in peace lasts longer than momentum built in pressure. There may be moments when you miss the familiarity of your old rhythm, even if it was heavy. This does not mean you want the burden back. It means you are human. Familiarity can feel comforting even when it was unhealthy. When this happens, do not judge yourself. Simply remind your spirit of why you chose alignment. Remembrance anchored in truth prevents regression. God is also aggressing your confidence now. Confidence is returning, not as bravado but as quiet assurance. You will notice it in how you speak, how you decide, and how you rest. You no longer feel the need to over-explain your choices. You are comfortable letting results speak over time. This confidence is not learned, it is restored. Archangel Michael affirms that discernment will continue to mature. You will recognize when something is meant for you and when it is simply passing by. This will save you from unnecessary detours. Not every open door is yours to walk through. Peace will be your confirmation. If peace is absent, permission is not present. God also speaks about joy during this phase. Joy is returning, not as constant excitement, but as contentment. You will find joy in small things again. Quiet moments will feel full instead of empty. This is one of the clearest signs that the inner atmosphere has changed. Joy does not need stimulation. It flows from alignment. Be patient with yourself as you learn this new way of living. Growth does not erase habit overnight. But every time you choose presence over worry, trust over analysis, and peace over control, you strengthen what has been restored. Archangel Michael reminds you that you are not being tested right now. You are being taught. Lessons without threat feel different. They feel lighter. They invite curiosity instead of fear. Approach this season with openness rather than self-examination. The road ahead is not hidden. It is unfolding. You do not need to strain to see it. Simply walk forward with awareness and gratitude. What God has begun is stable. What has been sealed is secure. And what is coming next will feel less like survival and more like purpose taking shape, step by step. Beloved one, as vision begins to take shape, God now draws your attention to consistency. Breakthrough moments are powerful, but it is consistency that turns breakthrough into transformation. What you are stepping into now is not a temporary season of clarity. It is a new way of living. Heaven is teaching you how to remain aligned even when life feels ordinary again. This is where freedom becomes permanent. Archangel Michael is revealing that many people lose momentum not because they fall back into darkness, but because they underestimate the power of small, daily choices. Alignment is not maintained through dramatic spiritual moments alone. It is maintained through simple decisions made with awareness. What you allow your mind to dwell on, what conversations you entertain, what environments you linger in. These choices either reinforce peace or slowly erode it. You may notice that you are becoming more selective with your time. This is not selfishness. This is stewardship. Time is one of the first things God teaches aligned people to guard, because time reveals priorities. When you protect your time, you protect your peace. When you protect your peace, you protect your clarity. God is also strengthening your ability to respond instead of react. Reaction is driven by old patterns. Response is guided by discernment. You may still feel emotions rise, but they no longer dictate your behavior. There is space now between feeling and action. That space is wisdom. Use it. Archangel Michael confirms that you are now less accessible to emotional manipulation. Guilt, pressure, or urgency that once moved you will no longer have the same effect. This does not mean you have become hard. It means you have become anchored. Anchored people are compassionate without being controlled. As this anchoring continues, God invites you to remain connected to truth consistently. That is why these messages matter. They are not meant to be heard once and forgotten. They are reminders that keep your alignment steady. If this message is strengthening you, take a moment to support its reach. Like this video so it can move through the algorithm and reach someone who feels stuck but cannot explain why. Share it with someone who may be silently carrying a weight they do not understand. Leave a comment declaring that you are choosing consistency and peace, because your declaration strengthens not only you, but others who read it. Make sure you are subscribed so you stay connected to these timely revelations. Alignment grows through repetition. Truth revisited becomes foundation. And if membership is available, step into it as a commitment to growth, not just consumption. This is not about hype. It is about consistency. Archangel Michael also reminds you to stay grounded when things begin to go well. Success can be just as disorienting as struggle if it is not anchored. When peace increases, remain thankful. Gratitude keeps success from becoming distraction. It keeps you humble, present, and aligned. There may be moments when old fears try to resurface, especially when you are about to step into something new. This does not mean you are regressing. Fear often appears at the edge of growth, not because danger is present, but because the unfamiliar challenges old comfort zones. When this happens, do not retreat. Pause, breathe, and move forward gently. Courage does not rush. It proceeds with trust. God is also teaching you how to self-correct without condemnation. You may have days when you feel off, distracted, or emotionally tired. This does not undo your progress. Alignment is not perfection. It is awareness. When you notice drift, simply return. No drama. No shame. Return is always available. Archangel Michael affirms that your spiritual foundation is now strong enough to support expansion. What once would have overwhelmed you will now challenge you in healthy ways. Your growth will feel stretching, not crushing. This is how you know the season has changed. Hold on, because what comes next will reveal how this alignment begins to influence others around you, without effort, without preaching, simply through the way you carry peace. This next phase will surprise you, and you will be glad you stayed present for it. Beloved child, now God draws your attention outward, not to distract you from your journey, but to show you how alignment naturally overflows. When inner peace becomes stable, it does not stay hidden. It begins to affect the atmosphere around you without effort. You are not being asked to teach, correct, or convince anyone. What God is revealing now is subtler and far more powerful. Your transformation is becoming visible through presence alone. Archangel Michael is showing that people around you may begin to respond differently to you, even if they cannot explain why. Conversations may feel calmer. Conflict may de-escalate faster. Some may feel drawn to you for advice, while others may grow quiet around you. This is not coincidence. Peace carries weight. Alignment creates spiritual gravity. What you carry internally sets the tone externally. God is also revealing that this influence will test your humility. When others notice change, there can be temptation to overstep, to fix, or to intervene. Resist that urge. You are not responsible for managing other people's awakenings. Your role is to remain aligned. God does the convincing. Your consistency is the message. Archangel Michael emphasizes that true authority does not announce itself. It is recognized. The more grounded you become, the less you will feel the need to explain your journey. You will speak when led, not when pressured. Silence will no longer feel awkward. It will feel appropriate. This discernment protects both you and those around you, You may also notice that certain relationships begin to redefine themselves naturally. Some will deepen through mutual growth. Others may slowly distance, not through conflict, but through misalignment. Do not chase what drifts. Do not force what no longer fits. This is not loth, it is sortu. Alignment always brings clarity about who can walk with you into the next season. God is also aggressing compassion during this phase. Compassion does not mean absorbing others' pain. It means understanding without caring. You can listen without fixing. You can care without rescuing. This balance prevents burnout and preserves peace. Archangel Michael confirms that this is a skill you are now developing naturally. There may be moments when you feel a quiet sadness as you recognize how long you lived under unnecessary weight. This grief is not regression. It is release. It honors what you survived without pulling you back into it. Let the feeling pass through without judgment. Healing often includes moments of reflection before full integration. God also wants you to understand that leadership often begins quietly. You may not see yourself as a leader, but influence is already forming. Leadership rooted in peace looks different from leadership driven by control. It invites rather than demands. It models rather than instructs. This is the kind of influence heaven trusts. Archangel Michael reveals that your discernment is now refined enough to recognize when to engage and when to step back. This will save you from unnecessary emotional labor. Not every problem is yours to solve. Not every battle is yours to fight. Wisdom knows when presence is enough. As you move through daily life, you may find yourself enjoying simplicity more. Moments that once felt mundane now feel grounding. This is not loss of ambition. It is restoration of contentment. Contentment does not limit growth. It stabilizes it. From stability, healthy expansion flows. God is also teaching you how to receive without suspicion. In the past, good moments may have felt temporary, as if something bad was waiting to follow. That expectation is dissolving. You are learning to enjoy peace without bracing for impact. This is a deep level of healing. Allow yourself to experience goodness without overanalyzing it. Archangel Michael affirms that protection remains active, even as you relax into this new normal. You do not need to stay alert for danger. Awareness has replaced anxiety. Trust has replaced vigilance. This does not make you naive. It makes you whole. There will be moments when you are tempted to look back, not because you want the past, but because the present feels unfamiliar. When that happens, remind yourself that unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. Growth often feels unfamiliar before it feels comfortable. Stay present long enough for peace to become familiar. God is pleased with how you have walked through this process. Not perfectly, but sincerely. Sincerity is what heaven honors. You did not rush. You did not ignore. You responded. That response has changed the trajectory of your life in ways you may not fully see yet. Remain grounded. Remain attentive. The final ceiling is approaching, not as an ending, but as a commissioning into a life led by peace, clarity, and quiet authority. What comes next will bring everything together in a way that feels complete, settled, and deeply affirming. Beloved child, this is the moment of completion, not because the journey ends here, but because a cycle has fully closed. What God began with revelation has now matured into alignment, and alignment has settled into peace. There is no urgency in this moment, only confirmation. Heaven is not rushing you forward. Heaven is standing with you, affirming that what was meant to follow you for years no longer has permission to walk beside you. Archangel Michael stands now in a posture of witness. The sword is no longer needed. The work it was assigned to do has been completed. What was spoken against you has been overturned by truth. What was hidden has been exposed. What was lingering has been dismissed. This is not emotional relief. This is spiritual finality. The atmosphere around your life has changed, and it will not revert. God wants you to understand something deeply before you move ahead. Freedom is not proven by never feeling challenged again. Freedom is proven by how quickly peace returns when challenge appears. You now recover faster. You recognize sooner. You realign without drama. These are signs of maturity, not weakness. This is what healed authority looks like. You may notice that your prayers no longer circle around the same requests. Repetition has ended because resolution has come. Where you once prayed for relief, you now pray with gratitude. Where you once asked for clarity, you now walk in it. This is not because life is perfect, but because your inner world is stable. Stability changes everything. Archangel Michael confirms that what was sealed earlier is now established. Sealing protects, establishment sustains. You are no longer in a fragile phase. You are grounded. Your peace has roots. What once could be shaken by a word, a memory, or a mood no longer moves you the same way. This is not emotional numbness. This is strength without tension. God is also releasing you from the need to constantly self-monitor. You do not need to check whether you are doing this right. Just as replaced hyper-awareness, you are allowed to live again without overanalyzing every feeling. Alignment is no longer something you maintain consciously. It has become your default. As this chapter closes, there may be a quiet joy settling in your spirit. Not excitement, not intensity, but assurance. This assurance is heaven's signature. It means nothing is unresolved. Nothing is hanging. Nothing is waiting to return. What was addressed has been fully handled. Archangel Michael reminds you that remembrance now serves a different purpose. You do not remember the past to revisit pain. You remember it to recognize growth. Memory no longer pulls you backward. It confirms how far you have come. This is healthy remembrance, free from attachment. God is also affirming that your future is not built on avoiding what happened, but on wisdom gained through it. You are not guarded by fear. You are guided by discernment. There is a difference. Fear restricts. Discernment directs. You are being directed now. If there is one instruction heaven leaves you with, it is this: remain honest with yourself and gentle with others. Honesty keeps you aligned. Gentleness keeps you human. You do not need to harden to stay protected. Love with boundaries is safe love. Archangel Michael declares that peace is now your portion, not as a temporary state, but as a governing presence. When decisions arise, peace will lead. When uncertainty appears, peace will anchor. When joy comes, peace will steady it. This is the life God intended for you all along. Type "I walk in peace" in the comments if you receive this completion. Blessing code 919 has now been released and sealed over your life. Now receive this final word of invitation, because this moment does not end with you. As God has cleared your path, He is using this message to clear paths for others who are still trapped in confusion, delay, and silent spiritual weight. I hear the Lord saying, "Those who help carry my word will never walk without provision." When you support this mission, you are not giving money. You are sowing light into homes, oil into dry seasons, and truth into lives standing at the edge of breakthrough. Your obedience through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, linked in the description, becomes a prophetic act that unlocks freedom for souls you may never meet. I bless every seed released to return with peace, protection, and divine increase. Do not hesitate. Do not delay. Act now. Partner with this assignment, and let God use your obedience to complete His work in others, just as He has completed it in you.